and away we go. So, okay, so first storyboard in the stack here, and I'll go through. It'll be kind of repetitious, but again, that's the point here, is making sure that we are getting everything that's required. So right off the bat, one of the things I like here, and let me zoom in, make sure you can see what I'm looking at here, is page number. And this one having 1 of 6. This is really important for me, that I know I should have 6 pages. So if any are missing, I know I've lost them or whatever, or I know that the story is going to be taking 6 pages. Again, if you see this huge stack here of all these storyboards, should I drop that and mix them all up? I'd like to be able to piece them together. So having how many pages for each storyboard is important to make sure I got them all. So you're always planning for the worst case scenario, and that's having, you know, hundreds of drawings all on the floor and you got to put them all back in order. The other is that name is on here. So this is great. That should be on every page, because again, should they get out of order or should one go missing, and I find that page, I know whose it is and what story it is. Having a production title, this is great. Not everybody had done this, but it's great to have a unique name to your episode. And again, it's a short little episode, but having here the loud thing. So that's great. That gives me a heads up. What's the story's about? It's giving me a little bit of a theme, which is fantastic. Okay, so everything's great so far. Here, let me see, I want to make sure I'm centering this. Maybe I'll zoom out just a little bit. Make sure we can see 2 panels at a time. You can see that. Okay, so we have an establishing shot. Again, got far shot here labeled, which is great. Up here, background, Quack's Pond, early morning. So it's giving us the time of day and what we're looking at. It just helps clarify what it is that is in the panel, the drawing. That we have scene 1, and it's panel 1 of 1. Fantastic. This is what we need to see. So the only thing that is missing here is that, you know, we go from scene 1 to scene 2. It's the transition. So they're pretty straightforward. What I'm looking for are straight cuts. So what we need is the word cut put in here. And now we go to the next one. So scene 2, 1 of 1. This is great. We see Peep and his can here. You can see the hill that he's got. We got some background, so nice and clear. And it's labeled. So it is scene 2, 1 of 1. Peep's can, early morning. So that's great. Wide shot. So great differentiation here. A far shot, wide shot. And here, action note. Peep standing in can. So it's reinforcing what the drawing is, which is great. Other thing I'm really liking on here is that nice block lettering, all uppercase, very easy to read. I had many storyboards, and just recalling from yesterday going through the other class, had a lot of upper lower, very tiny type, almost cursive writing, and it was really hard to read. And also that this is nice and dark, that I can see it. Some of them were very faint, and when I went to print them out, they didn't print out very well. So this is all nice and working very well. Now we have scene 3, 1 of 2, which is great, because here we got 2 of 2 over here. We can see these two are connecting to each other. It's a posing change, and that's what panel means. We could almost put the word posing, that we have one pose, we have another pose. So there's 2 panels relating to scene 3. And again, everything is labeled out really nicely. We have the action note here, Peep about to walk out of frame, and Peep walking out of frame. So that's all good. So again, it says that he's walking out of frame, and if we want to visualize that and communicate that really well, we'd have an arrow in red and put out, if that's what the intention is. So that's all good. From a drawing point of view on here, the only thing that I would be cautious of is, and hang on, I'm going to be letting people as I see them popping up, is that here's the ground plane. We've just got a single line and the can sitting on that line, and Peep walking on that line. if we take a look at the background up here in scene 2, we kind of want to replicate that. So, we've established the horizon line or the hill line here and where it is on the can. That should carry over into this shot. So, that line should be here on those scenes and not here. Well, this line anyways, that's the line of the can, to make sure that works well. And, maybe we'd see a bit of that bush that we'd see here. So the idea here as well, I'm kind of between things. If we look at this framing, that is when we draw, scene 3, when we look at scene 2, we're looking at the framing. So we've cut in this close. So if we take that rectangular HD format, which is that 16:9 ratio, and if we cut in, what we see here in this frame is what we should be seeing here. And that's why I'm saying that line should be up here. But it works better aesthetically and communication-wise not to have a line right here and having the character walk on it. Okay, so just things to be thinking about as you work on stories from this point onward. That you don't have to put this line here. It's just the thought process is when you're going to do a close-up, think of what would be in that shot and replicating it here and being consistent. That's why I say I'm put a little bit of that bush in here too, just so that we have the continuity. It cuts cleaner when you do that. It hooks up and just makes it much easier to follow. Okay, so what's great about this, we have scene 3, we got 2 of 2, so we know now that I'm going to turn the page that it's going to be a new scene. I'm already anticipating it's going to be scene 4, which is great. That's what we need to take a look at. And now that I go here, we are in scene 4. So again, 2 of 6, which is great. Names there, the production titles there is replicated, which is good. We have scene 4, and that says it's 1 of 2 poses, which is great. Yeah, let me go back. Thing that we have to watch out here is the transition is cut. And that's just reinforcing that, if we're at 2 of 2 or 3, we're going to be going to a new shot. The camera's going to move, so we're going to cut. Same up here. I should have indicated the cut here as well. Same as we had there. So it seems repetitious, whatever, but repetition's a good thing, and reiterating things to be very, very clear is good as well. So here, which is nice, is that we have, let me get this lined up, Quack's Pond. We see Quack. Yeah, maybe nice if we had some foliage from the designs or whatever. Otherwise, it looks like it's a barren wasteland here, just so it looks like the location, and maybe even the tree in the background, indication of the tree in the background. So wide, high angle shot. So it's indicating we're a little higher, not at eye level, the camera setup. So it's good that you're writing out the intention of where the camera should be, just to help us understand the drawing part. And Peep finds Quack. There we go. So the one thing I might have that might help with this a little bit, and it's something that might have already done this storyboard before we had done the. I'm trying to let somebody in here, but it's not working. Oh, there we go. I think it is action direction, left, right. So we've seen in this shot that Peep is walking out stage right. So he's at the left and he walks to the right. And now he looks like he's coming in from the other direction. So it almost might be better, or at least I would have preferred to flop this and still have Peep coming in from the direction he just left from the other scene. And that's hooking scenes up. If they're leaving, if they're traveling in a direction, they should continue that throughout the shots. And then when he goes back home, they can go in the opposite direction. And that just keeps the audience oriented as to the location of things and where we're going. So that's, you know, a little thing to look out for. It's not so bad in this shot, but in some cases it gets very disorienting when you start flopping characters or their direction. So anyways, this is a good second pose in scene 4. You know, could have just a little bit of action lines again if they're in red, so that no, that's not a graphic element in the frame. But this is good posing that they're looking at each other. We got that eye contact, which is great. Again, I'd carry over that same background detail, so it just helps us with what season it is, and we can see bushes and things and location. So now we have a cut again, and we're on to scene 5, and then we got 5 poses. Okay, so we got a lot of posing here, which is great. That's what I was talking about before. Okay, so now you're indicating a cut. So when I look at this shot compared to this one here, I don't see a whole lot of difference. It looks like I have a little less background, like you don't see near as much sky as I had here, and maybe a little less pond. But if I look at the size of the characters, they haven't changed a whole lot. So if you're going to a wide shot to a close-up, or this is more of a mid shot, you got to make sure you're drawing the characters the different sizes to make sure that works. Because this doesn't look like a close-up. It doesn't look like the camera has moved much from here. So if you're going to come in closer and closer, you got to make sure everything gets closer. You got to make sure that you're visually supporting this, saying that it's a close-up, or in fact, you know, a close-up, we'd be right in on the characters. We'd see mostly their heads. So, you know, this one, you know, just even cutting in and seeing the characters all in the same shot, it's more of a mid shot, unless you start cutting body parts in your framing. So it's getting the terminology, supporting the images that you have here, and that you're making that distinction in your drawings from a wide shot to a, you know, really a mid shot, even a close-up. The characters haven't changed in size enough to get that across here. Second pose. So, well, hang on, let's take a look. Again, dialogue. I missed the dialogue up in scene 4, but scene 5, we got, this is great. Again, uppercase, working well. Then we got quack underline. Then that nice bold uppercase words that are very easy to read. Hi, Peep, what's going on? And then we have Peep responding. Again, it's great. You got Peep underline, and do you know where Chirp is? And again, the images are good that when Quack's talking, his beak's open. When Peep's talking, her beak's open. So we know that there's not a cut, so we can anticipate. We got further poses and action going on when I turn the page. And sure enough, if I take a look at these, there we go. So we got Quack. Sorry, Peep, but I don't know where Chirp is. And then Peep says, well, then let's check by the tree. And up here we have panel 5. So last the poses. Okay, let's go. And we can see them moving out of the frame. So what we could do, so Peep and Quack start walking to Chirp's tree. So what you could do in a shot like that, they turn and start walking. I mean, we could get them right out of the scene and have out written here, just to get them to exit. And again, they're going from left to right, just like we saw at the beginning of Peep leaving his can and leaving the scene. He was going from left to right. So this is good screen direction and keeping us moving further forward. Okay. So let me just see where I'm at. Okay, so now at this, now we have a cut. And we're on to scene 6, and it's one pose of 1. And we're at Chirp's tree. We have an over-the-shoulder shot, which is great. We can see them here. And action notes. Peep and Quack arrive at Chirp's tree. So you kind of want them to come into the shot rather than cutting, and here they are already. So it'd give you some action, some extra poses rather than just the one of them staring at the tree. So again, we got to make sure we've got flow in our panels and that they make sense and are working. The one thing I want to go back to scene 5. You know, we have 5 panels here. So we have these two, we have these two, and this one. And there's a fair bit of dialogue, and we're just looking at, it really is, you know, a mid shot. It's really not a close up. It's a mid shot, if not still a far shot. Is that it's talking heads. One, you know, the characters are just yakking back and forth. So it might be where we'd cut to a close-up of who's talking, or what can we do to create a little bit more interest in the shot setup. But still, it's nice that we had a number of poses. It's just, you know, is there some more going on to make it visually interesting? This one, over the shoulder shot and seeing the characters here. Again, framing on this shot might be nicer if the characters were bigger. So if, let me draw over top of this one. So we have the framing. And the background's great, the tree's great, we can see all of that all working. But they seem to be tucked in the corners. They're, you know, what's all this space? What's happening all in here? So for better composition and for us to really see what's happening, you know, let's make the characters a little bigger so that, you know, the camera's behind them. And they would be close to the camera because the tree's far away. And we want to recognize the camera. We want to ensure the audience sees them here. So you can see on this, getting them bigger and in the shot, as opposed to being very tiny down in the corners. We want to make it look deliberate that the characters are there, and we want to make sure the audience sees them. So let's get them bigger, closer to the camera, and also making a better composition of them filling up that frame a bit, and then looking at the tree. Okay, so little helps there on the visuals. So again, one pose, and we're going to do a cut. And again, it would have been nice, you know, we've seen them exit the scene and now they're there and looking. It might have been good to have them have an arrow going that they come in to the shot, just to keep the action flowing and moving forward. So now when we go to the next page, again, we're at 4 of 6. It's getting cut off here. That's the thing too, when you're careful to be at your scans, because, you know, the line on this box is disappearing and the top was getting cut off of where the 4 was. So making sure your image is all within, because if this was a production and this was the storyboard submitted, chances are it is going to get printed out and will get distributed to those, or they'll be sent a file, and whoever's going to be working on what part of the production would like to print out the scenes they're working on. And you got to make sure that it copies. So what's nice here is that the whites are white and the dark lines are working really nice. It's just making sure we don't lose any information with it getting cut off on the edge of the pages. So again, named, all working out really well. It is scene 7, so new 7. We've got 5 poses, so which is great. Like it. Close up, again, it's not really much of a close up. A close up would be, you know, the frame filling a character or 2 characters, a 2 shot where they're close together. So this is more of a mid shot. Okay. Okay, Peep and Quack reach the tree. So a little bit of a jump here. If this is our one shot here, and now we cut to this one, it's almost, you know, they should be coming into the shot, or at least have arrows. So that wasn't really clear. You know, did they jump from here to here, or did they continue traveling and then cut closer to the tree and see them come into the shot? So it's just clarifying that visually to make sure we see the flow of the action. Okay. So we've got Quack. I don't see Chirp, do you? Question mark. Peep and Quack both look around, so we've got that. So sometimes, I was mentioning the little rotating arrow to show the change of direction, make it obvious from this panel and the pose and the difference on this one. And then looking back, and then Quack saying, maybe we pass Chirp on the way here. So we know this is 4 of 5. So when we turn the page, that this one is connecting up. So we still have scene 7, 5 of 5. So that's great. And we see them in still a mid shot. Peep and Quack then agree to walk back. So again, arrow and maybe saying, oh, that works. Because now we're going to scene 8 here, and it's 1 of 3. That's cool. Wide, high angle. So yeah. So again, look at the size of the characters in here, which was indicated as a close-up, and then the size of the characters here, where it's saying a wide angle, wide, high angle. The characters aren't much different in size. So again, close-up, characters have to be much bigger, and in a wide shot, they're smaller. You got to show that differentiation of size of the characters in relation to the camera. That's what makes it, a far shot, a mid shot, or a close-up. So it's making sure you're increasing, decreasing the size of the character according to the camera reference. So here they're walking along, and we see Chirp in the background. Peep and Quack are on their way back. Again, here is that cutoff here. So the R on there has been chopped, so getting the images in, so being careful of your scanning. This one, again, it'd be nice if there was some foliage and things, maybe a tree out here, something just to dress it up a little bit, because it's looking like a sand dune or something, that there's nothing there. So just keeping to the wood theme or whatever and having that detail. So that's keeping the environment on model, not just the characters. Okay, but the characters themselves are not bad. The shapes are pretty good in the position of the elements and things. So definitely can tell who's who, which is excellent, which is great. So that they're walking along and they don't see Chirp right away. That's where maybe some bushes and things, that maybe he blends in a little bit. And then when he gets up in this second pose of 8, that Chirp jumps up and says, hey, over here. And then they turn and see him. So Peep and Quack stop as Chirp jumps and yells. Okay, so it makes more sense that, maybe there was some foliage and things here that maybe they didn't see him. Because him just on that plain hill and yelling, I mean, how could they not see him? So it's just working on the scene so that it has more plausibility. It makes more sense that maybe they wouldn't have seen him between those bushes or whatever. Okay. And now we have 3 of 3 where they're running up towards Chirp. So Chirp, I need your help. Peep and Quack get closer to Chirp. So again, so it's good you're getting them smaller so that they're getting in the distance here. So just the action, what's going on there. So now we know when we go to the next page, we'll be at scene 9. So we'd want to put cut at the transition. And here we are. So this one's a bit of a jump. When we go to scene 9, we're in a whole new location. And, now we see a radio and such. And it's trying to figure out where is this in relation to this shot. Particularly the background, we have 2 hills. We still have 2 hills, not that different. So it's hard to figure out orientation-wise where we are. So it's from here trying to figure out where do they go from here to get to here. So it's having a better plan of figuring if they meet up with him, then they go off behind those bushes. I'm not sure, because I really don't know where this radio is in relation to this scene. This scene just is relatively unrelated to this one. So there's a confusion. So this is where you've got to be careful in your cuts to carefully and deliberately lead the audience to where we're going. And this one's a bit of a jump. And now that they're all here and they're coming into a scene, I take it, So if that's the case, they haven't left this scene. They just run up to him and now they're wandering somewhere else. So there's like a scene missing here, or action missing out of this one to be able to find how did we get here. So visually it's got to flow so that we can follow it and understand it. Scene 9, pose 1, pose 2. So you got them coming in, they got them standing at the radio. This is all good. This works. Wide shot. Yeah, this looks like a wide shot. Helps us. Quack, what's that? Peep and quack follow chirp. Chirp, I don't know. And now we cut to scene 10. So we should have cut here just to reinforce that, these numbers will follow through here. And we're on this one. So what's nice about this one, this is a good cut. It works well because if we take a look at this whole scene and I frame this, again, if I try and frame this with the right ratio, what I see here is what I should see in this shot. And it does. I think it works pretty well. That works up. And you can see everything gets bigger and fits in here in proportion. So it makes sense. Again, the issue that I have, like the first shots that we had, is that now you have a horizon line down here, when here it was way up here. So what we can do is we can try to cheat our perspective a bit, because on this one, this is the wide angle, and it could be from slightly higher, so we can see, more of the mountain and whatnot. Then when we come to a close shot, maybe that background's a little further in the background, but we can still see the relationship of the hill, but we've come in closer here. So just a perspective change. We come down to their eye level to take a look at this. So the main thing is that that horizon line here doesn't match up to what we can see in the background in these shots. Okay. But here, panel 2, great reaction shot. This is great. When you press the button and the radio comes on and the reaction, excellent. So having really good expression and such really sells the story and shows emotion in the characters and things. So here we've got all 3 characters and they're all saying, ah, in shock. So that's perfect. And again, Pete and friends get startled by the radio. So excellent. Okay. So anyway, so that's 6 of 6. This is the final. This is the end. Maybe, and it's fine that we don't have a whole page just saying the end or whatever. Maybe what we could do is in the transition, it's not a cut. We're not going in anywhere. Maybe here we could put end. So we're not looking for another page, but this saying it's 6 of 6, we know there's not another page. So that's where I know this is the end of the story. And maybe putting here that there is no more transitions, that it's the end, that the story wraps up with them being shocked by the noise of the radio. Okay, there we go. So storyboard 1, quite good. I liked it. Few things that we can work on and improve upon, which is expected, especially with the first storyboards that we've been working on. Okay, so comments here. Somebody's saying they need to add end to theirs as well. Yeah, I mean, that's something I hadn't given much thought to till now to see how they're working out. Somebody had also chatted here that they had just submitted their storyboard. A little late for today. I can't get it printed out right now. So I will get it and mark it. To print all these out, again, I don't have a home printer. So when I downloaded the files, I put them all on a USB stick and went to Staples and printed all these out and then brought them back to be able to go over them with you. So it might be a bit of again, I'm not sure if I'll go through that process for one or so, but when I'm marking, I will be using the rubrics and I will be giving notes as well on top of what's been going on here. Okay. So here's the next storyboard. Again, you can see being careful with your scans, or in this case, I think it might have been a photo taken with their phone. And you can see how dark the background is. And I'm not sure how clear it is for you to be able to see any of the text here. But that's an issue. Again, if this was a production and we had to pass the storyboard around, print it out, pass it around so everybody knows where we're at, it could be difficult to read. So having nice whites and dark lines is really important to make sure we can see what's happening. But this one, if you can see it, 1 of 4, so that's good. Name is on here, excellent. We got Scary Quack, so got a setup of what the story is about. And we have scene 1, 1 of 1. And again, we got Peep's can, nighttime, and we got stars to reinforce that. It's a far shot of the can. Now we've cut closer. Again, the 2 hasn't shown up. So it's making sure you go through everything with pencil so that it does show up. 1 of 4 poses, which is good. So we have come in closer from here. So that's nice. Still silent, so no dialogue. Action notes could say that Peep peeks out of the can, just to reinforce that we can see what's happening there. So here's panel 2 of 4, and we cut in. Oh, okay, we've cut in even closer. So Peep wakes up. Notice the shadow. So wakes up, one eye open. So okay, so it's late at night. For some reason, Peep is looking outside his can. Looks like both eyes are closed here. It's yeah. Like there's a few extra lines here that are kind of confusing as to what's going on here. And again, that's where an action note saying Peep peeks out of the can with his eyes closed. Because here it says he wakes up, one eye open. That helps define what's happening. But an issue with the numbering here, if this is scene 2 and we've gone from a far shot to a mid shot, now we cut to a close-up. Well, it is, it's a cut. So this isn't scene 2, this is scene 3. Or maybe it's supposed to be, because here's scene 4, but this says 2. So that should have been 3. And this is panel 1 of 1. The same as this. This is a 1 of 1. The sequence is only if the camera isn't moving and you have multiple poses. That's when it's a scene change, or when you start having multiple panels, multiple poses in the same scene. So it's just making sure that, again, these numbers can confuse things. So that's why you got to make sure they line up to what the visual is. I like the drawing. I like what's happening all here. It's just numbering, labeling is kind of throwing us off as to how the story is being told. And again, all these cases to help reinforce that is that, if the camera moves, we're cutting to another new scene. This camera moves from here to here, it's getting closer. So that's a cut as well. And then this one, we go here. This is scene 4, but again, it can't be 3 of 4 because this doesn't add up. So it's 1 of 1. So repetitive information, but it all has to line up and make sense for us not to get confused as to what's happening. Okay. So we now, again, cut. So we go from this close-up of Peep waking up in his can. Now we cut, and now he's farther away from the can, and he's wide awake. Peep stands in shock to see the shadow has gotten closer. So I don't know where this shadow is. I'm not sure what the shadow we're referring to. I don't see any shadow in the shot. So I'm not sure what that means. If it's off camera, we have no way of knowing this is a shadow or what's happening. If we are talking about a shadow here, maybe it's a shadow on the side of the can. And, but now, I don't know, is the shadow here on the ground? Getting closer and almost covering him. I'm not sure. See, I don't know. So it's open to interpretation. That's the issue. We have to make sure we're very clearly communicating the progress and what's happening in the story. And if you're referring something, see, if you didn't say shadow in the dialogue, I wouldn't even be worrying about it, because I don't think there is a shadow. I have no idea there is a shadow because it's not drawn in. So we've got to work these together so that, if you're describing something, I got to see it in the shot or have some indication what's happening. So, okay. There we go. So now we go from here to page 2 of 4. You should be continuing your name, production, which you do have, Scary Quack. But here we're seeing 5, which is good, works out. And now we got a big close-up of Quack saying boo. Where he came from or how that works, not really sure. The next shot here, again, it's gone from scene 5 and now it says scene 2. Well, that can't be. So you got panel 1 of 2, 2 of 2. Well, this background doesn't relate to either. We've switched the camera right around. So this is more of a wide establishing shot. So this would be scene 6. So it's going back and making sure that they all make sense. So this is 1 of 1. This is 1 of 1. Here's scene 6, but we've changed from here. So this is scene 7. And now I look over here and you got scene 2 again. So these don't match because the camera moves. So this would be scene 8. And this isn't 2 of 2 of this. It's something else again. So it'd be 1 of 1. So fair bit of confusion going on, and we're not getting posing. We got a lot of camera jumps around, so it's not really being too effective. Going back to this to maybe help clarify this is that we see him looking, and maybe this shadow here would work a bit, but maybe what would happen even better is that we actually see a shadowy character. We see this shape. And maybe it is casting a shadow, but we can see the character here. And then when we cut to here, we can relate this close-up to this shape coming into the shot so that it cuts and we can follow it and not it just appearing from nowhere. So things to look out for, how that's going to work. Okay. So even in this one, if we did this shot, maybe what we could be doing and relating that to this shot even better, if we're now going to see Quack here, maybe it would be better. And again, it's that left-right orientation. I think we covered that better in the Seinfeld, and you might have had this done before we analyzed the Seinfeld episode. So if we see this, so now if we cut, and we have our Quack character in his ghost costume here, that maybe could be a little bit more 3/4 view and having Peep here. Get my eye direction. So then we reveal, and then we can see Peep in relationship to the character. So we've switched the angle, but we kept that left-right. So we have Peep on the left, Quack on the right. Maybe this could be funny too. We can see the shape of his hat on this one. And then when we see this and we reveal without shadow or whatever that it's him, then that could work. And then have Peep running away. And again, what you could do, this could be a second pose here. We have, then you could have so for 2 poses of a scene, so if this was scene 6, I mean, so this would be 1 of 2. This is scene 6, 2 of 2, and then he runs out of the scene. And then this way you get a nice big expression of him, yikes, running out of the shot. Okay. So it's just setting up the scenes and making it so that we can follow it and not be too jumping around. And this is all jumping because we've got close up on Quack. Then we have a wide shot of the back of Quack and the back of Peep, and then we have a close-up of Peep at his can looking out, and now we cut back out again to a wide shot of Peep screaming, it says here. Peep runs into his can, so he's still scared, so he still doesn't know who it is, so he's just running around. So again, it's a lot of cutting, which hopefully, you know, we could have avoided some or made a little easier to follow by having, you know, distinct shots and following through. So you can see having 3/4 views, 3/4 back, 3/4 front, 2 3/4 fronts, and then the direction, what's happening, rather than the straight on point of view shot, you know, straight on back shot, straight on front shot. Having 3/4 can establish that left, right, and kind of set up our posing and such that much better. Okay. So here, now I'm trying to figure what's happening next. So again, these are, because these are all scenes, different scenes, because the camera keeps moving, where they're all cuts. So we got to indicate all that. So now we've cut from the last scene, he ran into the can. So now we're looking inside the can. So yeah, where'd we end up? So all these are like 9 and 10. So all these all change. But again, all these are different scenes. So 9, 10, 11, 12, and they're all 1 of 1. So again, it'd be nice if we can have some flow, some poses, so we can see how we get from one pose, from one scene to the next. It's simplifying. And when we have a whole lot of scenes, a whole bunch of cuts with no poses showing what the action is, yeah, it's a bunch of still images. And this is storyboarding for animation. We want to see what the action is, what the animation is. And this storyboard is more than just cinematics. It's sorting out. Hang on, I got some more people to bring in. There we go. Yeah, being able to work out what the action is, because the storyboard is for everybody in the production. So they want to be clear background so that the background department can define those backgrounds and paint them and get it together, and that the characters are posed so there's some direction for the animators of what the action's supposed to be and how they animating them in the shot. So when they're all individual frames, it's not, you know, making it difficult to figure out what the animation is. Also, with multiple poses and working things out, we've got something to time with. So how long is this scene? If we know what the action is and you drew the action out, we'd know how much time we need to be on this shot or this scene so that we can work out how long it is. But with just one, I have no idea. I'm not sure how long I should be on this panel, because there's no indication of what action's happening. Okay. So also in that background, it's being careful. The perspective on this can, I know it's difficult to draw inside the can, but a good storyboard artist is a good layout artist, is a good animator, is good everything, and can translate the storyboard. So in this one, it would be, you know, what does that background look like? So we got inside the can, we got to get the perspective right. And then we could have Pete frightened. At the back of the can. So we can see the perspective. We know where he is and the layout of that can. Because this one, I don't know, it almost looks like it's inside a canoe or something. It's just hard to relate to the perspective, the angle of which we're looking at. So this will all get easier or better to do once we, you know, in design class, we start looking at perspective and structure and such. Again, we're just getting into 3D forms and working that up. So applying that into a storyboard is going to make things much clearer on a panel to be able to figure out where perspectives and things are working. So again, this is our first attempt. So again, there's lots of good things happening, but lots of things we got to look out for you know, to look at maybe tweaking these, but definitely for the next round when we do another storyboard, we're looking out for things and we know what to look out for. Okay, so here on this shot, we're just finishing up here. We do have a cut, and we cut to a close-up here. So this is good. We're basically taking this framing and replicating it here. And then we've got a couple of poses here which work. And we've got Quack talking. I was going through this box and I got stuck in this ghost cloth. And then Peep in response here in the next shot. That cool, but what's that behind you? And he goes, huh? And then he looks and we have, looks like Chirp, but he's casting a bat shadow somehow. Quack, what is that? Peep says, guys. Quack and Peep are screaming and they run away. Okay, so again, so we got, here's what the one that's really working so far is, you know, this would be 13, this is 13, this is 1 of 2, this is 2 of 2, but now we have 2 different shots, so we're up to 14 and then 15, and they're all 1 of 1 poses, because this doesn't really relate to this. The background's changed, and the whole perspective of things have changed, so it's a new scene when that happened. So I like the ideas and such going on here. It just, the layout, composition, and how we're telling the story needs to be much clearer. Again, trying to get fewer shots, but trying to get the flow of poses and getting poses in to help us track and find out, you know, from one scene to the next, and not just be jumping to a whole bunch of different scenes throughout. Because again, very, you know, 5, how many pages is this? It says, yeah, so this is 4 pages. So, you know, we could go to 5 to 7. And, you know, if you went to 7 pages instead of 4, you could probably take these scenes and elaborate on them. But you would have to change these scenes to make sure they don't jump all over the place so that we're following them clearly. Okay. We'll go on to the next one. Hopefully this just gives us an idea of what to look out for, what, sharpen my pencil, how things are working. Okay, so on this one, you can see nice bright white background, black lines makes it very clear to see. So that's why scanning's good as opposed to taking a photograph and having shadows and not the best lighting. So here's very clean. This is looking professional in this. For whatever reason, let me take a look here. I've got page 2, and I'm not sure. Do I have? Here it is. Page 1. Here it is. Out of order. So how many pages do we have on this? There's 5. This is where it really would be helpful if we had 1 of 5. So I know, have I lost a page, not lost a page? Do I have all of them? Again, I got a huge stack here and it's easy to get them out of order and such. So just to be clear on it, name on the page, great. The Shooting Star, great production title, and how it helps us anticipate what the story is going to be about. So here we got scene 1, 1 of 1, and a cut, great, all very well. Hill, nighttime, so we can see all that. Narrator, 1 starry night. And now we've cut to a high angle, looking down at these guys. And there they are, Quack. Wow, what a beautiful night. Peep and Chirp look up to Quack. It says Peep and Chirp look up to Quack, but they seem to be looking at the stars. So I don't know if you need the eye direction to be them looking at Quack, if that's what the action notes are. Just make sure the visuals are reinforced by the action notes and not contradicting what the action notes are saying. So it is scene 2, 1 of 1. We have cut. That's all great. That's all working. We have scene 3, 1 of 1, and a cut. We see the shooting star go by, which is great. It goes, look, a shooting star. Peep and Chirp and Quack all sit up as a shooting star crosses, and that's great. If we look between this shot and coming back to that shot, that they're all sitting up now. Again, we could put an arrow here showing that we're really back to this shot, where this is the first pose that we'd end up here, and then they sit up. So that'll all be good. So anyways, it's a nice drawing of sitting up, works great. But this helps us from, repeating this one and then drawing this one. You'll see when we come to animatics, when we actually time out scenes and everything, that you might actually use this pose and, have those poses to be able to time to and fill in some of the gaps in the animatic as opposed to the storyboard. But this is working quite well. So we've cut here to scene 4, 1 of 3, which is great. So the camera's moved again. We're now to have them in 3/4 back view, which is great. And we can see that the shooting star, I don't know if it's going over the horizon or lands somewhere. Oh, they actually say, Chirp, it's landing. Quack, huh? Chirp stands, shooting star goes over horizon. So nice and clean, works really nice, very easy to follow. And the scenes are all hooking up quite nice. The drawings of the characters are quite on model and size relationships and everything, all looking great. So here's that continuation of scene 4, scene 2 of 3. It's great here. So we've got scene 2, but again, it'd be nice if it was 2 out of 5, just to make sure, keep them organized. Names here, great. Should repeat the title name on all of them. Because again, a good habit to be in. And I know when I was working on a TV series and such, you always had the production name on every page, just in case if this was printed out and somehow got mixed up with another episode, the name of the production, make sure that it could get back into the right stack of storyboard panels. So it's just an organizational thing. It's just good for clarification. Okay, so we got a nice pose here. We got that little arrow showing Peep turning around. Again, if we match that up to our first pose, all that's working nicely. Good pose, him turning around, Quack, I don't, and then Chirp say, come on, let's go get it. Chirp turns in to speak to Quack and Peep. So nice descriptions. Again, nice, clean uppercase. So, so far, I think everybody's been using uppercase, so that's been great. Everybody's been following that very well, and it makes it so much easier to read. Again, I haven't looked at the rest of these to see how everybody did, but I know from yesterday, had a lot of upper lower, had a lot of cursive writing and things, and I was really struggling to read a lot of the text. So this is all working out great. And again, you got Peep talking, yeah, let's go, Quack. And again, having that underline just helps separate who's speaking from the actual dialogue. So that's all good. And what's nice here, got Quack sighs, and it's depicted really well. We got a good expression. You can actually see him sighing. I could see the animation and what would need to be done to make that work. And even here, just that little line on his, a brow above the eyes, making him look a little concerned or not exactly happy about the prospect of taking off. And then the poses of this, them going off and down the hill. So all of this hooks up and we can see them taking off there, which is really good. Okay. And we got a cut, so we're off to scene 5 here. We're in a field, mid shot, bushes rustle, crickets twitches, Peep bends down, Quack walks right. So on this one, yeah, I'm kind of, I think perspective, I'm having a little trouble anticipating perspective. It looks like Peep's giant and Quack somehow is shrunk down. So it's just trying to get that perspective of going on. So I can see there's some bushes rustling back here. So it's maybe working on perspective. Things are, yeah, looking a little floating. I'm not sure. Let me see if there's some way we could fix that or make that a little clearer in our drawing, that we have some perspective things going on. So if we have, maybe Peep's looking over. It's almost maybe we do need some horizon line or such, so that when we see Quack back here doing his thing, then these bushes, I think we got to bring, I don't know if there's another hill line or something, so we can see these bushes rustling back here. It's something to kind of give us a different ground plane that, again, we haven't gotten into perspective and grids and things, but for example, if this was a perspective grid that it's going to this horizon, then we could see that the distance from here to here, that there's perspective. So we can see that this isn't a giant Peep, and this isn't a tiny little Quack. It's just, it is looking like perspective. And then we have another line here, and we've got more sort of perspective lines going. Then we have this bush shaking in the background. And then over here, maybe we've got trees. So it's getting the perspective down so we can see the planes of distance going on to make this clear. Because this just looks like, particularly in this shot, it looks like he's giant and he's just a little tiny just because of the height. You know, the ground plane is matching up where Peep is, so it makes him look tiny. And this actually almost looks like it's floating somewhere. So that's where I was thinking that, you know, we bring the ground horizon down, and even if there's an additional hill, we can kind of layer the perspective to make that clear. Okay. So that's something that will definitely get better as we, you know, start exploring horizon line, grids, vanishing points, and such. So, okay. So let me see. So 2 of 3. So we know 5, 2 of 3 that this is continuing on the next page, which is here. And now we can see these characters rotating around, and we can see that Chirp is jumping up from behind this bush, and Chirp's going, guys, I found it. So again, perspective wise, that's looking at him to here. Yeah, even if Quack was a little higher, again, it's almost, he has to be lower. It's just that he's so tall and he's so short, it makes it, and the perspective's going kind of this way, it just looks like he's just tiny in comparison. So working that out. So just little things to help sort it out. So this is 3 of 5. I can show the title here. Now we go to scene 6. So this one I'm having a little trouble interpreting to this shot. That I gather this is the bush, and they're looking into a clearing and seeing what it is that they found here. Them looking at each other. So it could be a staging thing. That's a little bit of an issue here. And I don't know if, trying to think how this could work any better. And I think maybe getting bushes than the 3 characters. I don't know. It's almost like we have to get some leaves or something happening here so we can see that it's a clearing within the bushes to make that work. And then Quack. And I'm not sure if that's helping any. Bit rough maybe to even see what's going on with this, but I'm just trying to get some foliage in here and some leaves so we can tell that this is the bush that we saw here, and that we're looking through a clearing underneath or through it, and then seeing the characters. I'm just finding this is just hard to interpret sort of shape as to what we're looking at. Okay. But anyways, a good second pose here, them looking at each other with Peep saying, I think it would be more shiny like a star. And then Chirp, oh yeah, I guess you're right. But here we got a better idea of that, you know, perspective of what we're looking at. Maybe even on this one, we could establish that, you know, that it's more of a foliage going on, and then kind of more leaves or whatever, and then looking through this clearing here. Again, having that straight line, you know, it's just having, you know, more of the footing of the bushes and such, and then our characters here trying to look through that hole in the foliage. So yeah, somewhat kind of a design thing just to clarify what it is we're looking at. So with great, we got a cut. So we've cut out further. So scene 7, 1 of 2, and here we are. We have 2 of 2, and we can see Quack going out. Then we're cutting, and here we go. So this is kind of working better perspective wise, and yeah, maybe even if we had horizon line here with some foliage or whatever just to help. But see, this perspective seems to work just because of him being close and then them being farther away and higher. Just helps that ratio that one is closer to the camera and they're farther away. And now scene 2 of 8, them running forward, and then Quack saying, hey guys, over here, and Peep going, whoo, so shiny. So yeah, so this shot works relatively well. It's a bit of a jump from here to here, but it's not too bad. It's like we're, again, in a short story, it's more linear so that we can follow the action step by step. This kind of jumps, but it's okay. It's just like just a few minutes later, you know, from here, and now they're looking at the object. So that's not bad. We continue with 9, and we can see they're posing, and then Peep saying it has to be the star. And now we have scene 10. Now this one's getting to be a bit of a jump because they're standing looking at it, and now they're standing in another whole background and he's pushing it out. I guess it's okay, but it'd be just nice. If you're going to do that, it'd be nice if they exit the scene, he starts pushing it, and then they're standing outside and he finishes pushing it out. It just flows better than a stark jump, that we can see that they've exited the scene, and then when we go to the next scene, well, there they are, and now he's following suit. She, Chirp, is pushing that marble out in front of them. So that would just help in the flow of things. So it's almost like you need another pose here of these two turning and having them out, and then having. So that's really another panel. So it should be three of three, and then having Chirp, you know, starting to move them marble forward, so we can see the action exiting. And then when we cut to this one, they're already there, and Chirp finishes pushing the marble out. And now this one is 2 of 2, so kind of works. It seems to be the same setup. It's just where you have to be careful is because Quack is so much bigger in this shot than this one. It looks like we've cut closer. So keeping the volume, keeping the size of the character the same from here to here, and just turning and seeing them going off screen would be clear that that's one shot. And yeah, we have zoom. We're not doing zooms. We're trying to do cuts. We're not doing pans. This actually works better if it was a little bit of a pan, so that we'd be following this action past. So he's just turning, and then they move past, so that we'd have a little bit of camera motion going across. But it's trying to work these out with just cuts. And sometimes it's a little more difficult, but it'll make it a little bit easier in the long run. And then our cut here. So again, this is a cut. It looks like you're trying to do a zoom into the close-up. I'm not sure, but you got a scene change. So it indicates a cut as opposed to a zoom. And again, that close-up is is basically taking this and drawing that up closer. So if you got some background detail, you should be keeping that consistent in behind. And then you got a little bit of whatever, like push or something in there. You can follow that so you can complete the composition. Okay, so there we go. So so it is 5 of 5. So we know it's the last page. Again, so we got fade to black. So that's great. So that basically gives us the end. So that follows together pretty good. So just a few little issues there, but the nice, clean, uppercase, everything working very nicely overall. Move forward onto our next one. And again, we'll see how many we can get through. I'm trying not to rush here so that I can concentrate and give the feedback. Again, I haven't seen these. I didn't take the opportunity to look at them beforehand. I'm kind of looking at them fresh here. Here we go. We've got 1 of 5. That's good. Got the name. The leaf. Good production title name. Scene 1, 1 of 1. So we got Quack's Pond. Afternoon. We see them walking along. Narrator. Peep, chirp, quack. Start their day. Going to play in the tree. And then we see them walking. I'm coming to a stop here. Peep and friend stop, chirp, lean. I think that's what it says, chirp, lean. Anyways, so you can see that. So we'll have to watch our characters being on model. Egg shape. I'm not sure what shape he's kind of. I'm not sure what kind of shape he's getting into. So keeping on model, making sure we're getting him the proper proportion and shape. Narrator, chirp, spot something yellow, close up of shot. So we got 10 of 3. It's 1 of 1. We have cut, so that's all good. Kind of hard to tell what this is, but hopefully as the story progresses, it'll make it a little clearer. Because and it could even help here, close-up shot. You might even tell us what that is, spell it what it is. So from a design point of view, if I had the storyboard and had to work on it, I'd be going through my design pack going, what is this? I don't know what it is. So, a little description of what it actually is would help production know what it is they're going to have in that shot. It's okay, so we cut to scene 4, 2 of 5, which is good. Please always have your name on each page. Leaf, that's fine. 1 of 2 poses. So scene 4. Narrator, they look closely to see a yellow leaf. Okay, that helps. Peep and friends go close. They're surprised. Okay, so we're getting a bit of expression going on here. Not bad. Now we have scene 5. So we've cut here, should indicate. So because we have scene 4. At first I thought that was a 9. So it's making sure, again, it's just being clear that we can tell what's happening. Now on this one, Peep and friends, they run. So again, not sure where, they run. I guess it's the same as our first scene here. It would be good if some of the details here were carried on to here so we can see it's the same shot as the first shot. And this is fine, this cut, it's a jump, but it's a jump that works because here they're all kind of, they kind of freeze in shock. And the next thing we see this shot and them running through. So if anything, we would want to have in. So if we had just the background and then them screaming and went all the way through the shot, it could be a funny timing and gag that would work. Then cutting to scene 6, of which we have 1 of 4. That's good. So this wouldn't be a cut. If this is 1 of 4, that wouldn't be a cut. So you're getting conflicting information here. That this saying this is 1 of 4, it's not a cut. That I'm going to be expecting the next page to have 3 more panels of scene 6. But anyway, this is good that they come running, and we can see Quack and Peep running inside. then when we go to the next page, okay, so that they've gone inside. So again, in consistency's sake, and this is what we would have to do, is trace back to make sure this scene looks the same as the rest of them. So there we go. So we know that that matches. And it'd be good too to trace back and make sure the can looks exactly the same. So, you know, trace back the can and everything so that that sequence looks identical. Same with this one. Now the can's got smaller, so things are kind of changing size and everything. And that makes it confusing visually for us to be able to tell that this is all scene 6 and these are just pose changes, because everything's kind of fluctuating in size and structure and everything. So that would be a trace back. So to make sure that that's all the same size. So then when Quack peeks out, you know, we know it's a sequence here. So Peep, how did the leaf return? Quack, I'll check. I'm not sure what that sentence means. Anyways, I'll check. We'll continue. Narrator, Quack is shocked to see the yellow leaf fly. So the wind has blown this. So this is a new scene. And so that means this is 4 of 4. So we should have a cut here. Now, not out cut. Oh, that's a bad eraser. Okay. Now this, we just need some reference. I'm not sure this background, what we're looking at, even if, you know, there was a little bit of horizon, and maybe a tree over here, then we see the leaf fly by, that would work. Maybe having a more distinct design for the leaf, you know, even if it's, I guess mine might look more like a feather, but some idea so we can tell that it's a leaf and that it's blowing through. Not sure, this shape is just maybe a little too one-dimensional graphic to make out what it's supposed to be. So anyway, so it's one shot. Again, you could have multiple poses in, so that, you know, that could be pose A, this could be pose B, to show the direction, the action of that. Then we're going on to page 4 of 5. There's the name, there's everything here. So we're cutting back to the same setup, scene 8. So we got 2 of them, 1 of 2, 2 of 2. So this is all good. So we're cutting back to what we had here before. So it's the same as shot 6. We just cut away to 7 to see the leaf blowing along. Then we have Quack. It can fly and it's coming. And now they're all screaming and running out of the can. And now we have a cut. And we have 2 poses, so that's not a cut. So scene 9, 1 of 1, 2 of 2, that's good. We see them run in the shot and then stop. Narrator, as they all run, when they see, they stop. Okay. And let's see, here we go. So we cut to scene 10, and narrator, some pack of leaves. Oh, let's see. They all run when they see some pack of leaves. So I guess these are all leaves falling out of the tree. So this is the 3 of them. I take it. Again, I think we need an action note to describe what's happening. Even though this is very tiny, trying to keep that a little bit more on model so we can tell it's them and what angle they're looking at things from. And then them, scene 11, and Peep. Oh no, not again. So yeah, so it's false. So we can see the leaves are falling off the tree, and we can kind of see the tree here with the branches with the leaves off it. So this one, I think we could use, again, a perspective thing to make this work a little better in this shot. So the information we want to get across is we want to see the 3 characters. So I think we want to do is we can have perspective here. So if we have the 3 characters, We can have all three of them because bigger because they're in the foreground as opposed to here. And we could have a hill so we can see that they're, oops, sorry, got the wrong character. So anyway, that would be Peep. Then we have Quack. I mean, Chirp over here. We'll have Quack here. They can be looking down. And then now we can have more of a horizon line so that we can see this tree and the branches coming off it. So we can see the leaves. We can maybe see some leaves falling off the tree and the odd one hang onto the tree. And then have a whole bunch of leaves down here. Okay, so, and then, you know, we could have some clouds in the sky and maybe some foliage on the edges here. So anyways, composition wise, you know, that they're in the foreground, that we can see them close to the camera. Then we can see they're looking down a hill and we can see all the leaves and we can really see the tree and the bare branches with just the odd leaf still on there that them falling off. So then we get the big picture. It's the big payoff shot. So that kind of tells us the whole story. And now when you cut from this to this, it makes sense because they are looking to the right. They're still looking to the right. They're in the right order. So that cuts nice and smoothly from here to here. And we could follow that. And then nice expression change, which is great. Okay. So yeah, it's just taking care. And again, as we work on perspective and, you know, our 3D forms and things, you know, we should hopefully be more proficient in communicating those ideas. But from a cinematic point of view, you know, if we have little characters, we want to make sure they're deliberate in the scene. So, you know, if they're 3/4 back to us, let's get them close to the camera because, you know, it's all about character. And then in perspective, that layout of the tree to make sure we can see it, because we really can't see it here. It's not, doesn't look like it's significant, and it's not really looking like a tree. So making sure that works. So again, once we get into perspective and we get into perspective grids, you know, we can start seeing distance and working that up into our shots. Okay. So another one down. How's our time doing? I still got lots to go. All righty. So hopefully everybody's holding up. I'm hoping I'm holding up because 3 hours straight of chatting here and going over all this, by 12, I'm done. Go have a nap after this. Anyway, so we have another sequence here, but again, I don't know how many pages. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to find there's 6 pages. So it should be one of 6. It's just nice to give anybody in production that's dealing with the storyboard all the information. Name, great. The episode name, Eclipse. I can kind of anticipate what's going. Could be fun. We got scene 1, pose 1 of 1. We have that establishing shot. Peep's can outside. So nicely done. Like that. The can's working well. Narrator, today was the day of the solar eclipse. Narrator, an event where the moon passes over the sun. There was only one problem. Cool. Okay. Oh, so this is indicating, see, I didn't know this was the sun and this was the moon. So it's, sometimes we got to draw some cliche things so that we understand it. So if that's the sun, I'm going to do that cliche rays coming around. And if this is the moon going to eclipse, I'm going to shade it. So now it communicates a little better. Kind of know what's going on with that. So that helps. Okay, so here, so scene 1, scene 2. So here, this is a cut from this scene 1 to scene 2. This is one pose. Peep comes outside. Peep exits cans, turns away from the camera. So he's going to look at the sun. So always be nice if this was drawn out into another pose, but so that he's looking, she is looking up at the eclipse. So it says zoom. I'm taking if we look this as a master shot and that Peep has come out, that if we're at this shot, it's like we had a close up and now we've zoomed up, but we're not doing those. We want to use cuts. So it's fine that that's a cut to this, more into the sky. Yeah, so if that's the case, yeah, this could be even bigger. If you're cutting, cut in closer to this shot. And even looking at this one, you know, maybe in our establishing shot here that, you know, we have that tree. You've got, just so that it relates to the shot. And again, if we can indicate the sun and the silhouette, darkness of the moon, going to cover it up. So anyway, so we're shot 3, one shot, narrator. Peep has never heard or seen of one before. Moon slowly moves towards the sun. Close up. Here we've got another one of one shot. So we're at scene 4 and a cut. So we're going to be at another scene next. Unsure what was happening, Peep decides to ask Chirp and Quack about the sky. So we always want to make sure we're carrying this over. But it's still the narrator talking. And on to the next page. 2 of 6. That's all good. That's good. We're scene 5. That's good. Scene 5, 2 poses, Quack's pond. So we see a sleepy shot of Quack and Chirp. And then we have pose 2 of Quack or Peep running in the shot. So this is good. This is good setup. So again, there's where a trace back that this should be the same scene. I'm not sure about fade. Not sure if that's necessary. I mean, not if you're going from one pose to another. You don't need a fade. You don't need anything in transition. There is no transition. This one, scene 5, and now we're going to scene 6. So there is no zoom. We're not, because that indicates camera movement, and we're not doing that. So it's a cut. And that works because here we have Peep run in and them all looking, and then we have the dialogue here. Peep shouting, Chirp, Quack, and then Peep again. Do either of you know what's happening to the sky? So again, this is all good dialogue and text here, good, all uppercase, nice and clean, easy to read, which is great. Now when we come to this shot, shot 6, it says zoom cut. It's not a zoom, it's a cut. So if we've cut in here, that's basically we're setting up this. So we don't have to do it on this frame, but I'm just visualizing that if we're going to cut closer, this is the framing of which we want to replicate here so that this works. So that all works well. Cool. Now we're cutting like we had here to scene 7. So we have our sun, the moon, the sky. What is that? I'm not sure. So we know, so we got to pan up. So again, camera move. We're trying to avoid those for this year, this production. We want to use cuts. You got second year, third year to play with camera moves and everything. So this is a cut. And so we cut to scene 8 back to the characters. And Peep, let's go ask Hoot. She's been around for a while. She might know. And now we've cut and we see them walking along in the woods. So yeah, we have a passage of time here of them at the pond now walking. So that works as a cut. Not sure about this fade and when the fade was expected to take place. We'll explore transitions and whatnot in the weeks to come. I'm not sure where the fade would work. This would indicate it's fading from scene 9 to scene 10, which, yeah, that would work. That would work, I guess. And Hoot's tree, we got a cut. And Peep shouting, "Hoot, it's Peep, are you up there?" And Peep, hoot, hoot. And we see the owl. So we're at scene 11. And if I match that up, that is a good trace back, and we see the eyes open. So that works great. Looks good. So that's our 2 poses. This would be a cut. So this would be 6, B6. All good. So here's one of the things. I just want to take a look at this. In the dialogue, they said, let's go ask Hoot. Been around a while, she might know. So if we're going to do a cut to another time, a little later, and this is indicating that they're walking, and then this is cutting, so it's a little later as well, and that they're at the bottom of the tree, and then we cut here. So sometimes in storytelling, it's important to, what are we going to show? And sometimes what do we not need to show? So it's possible we don't even need this shot. If we eliminated this one and we went from this shot saying we should go see Hoot or whatever, and then if we did a fade or if we did cut and now they're at the base of the tree, we get it. They moved. They're not at the pond anymore. They're now in the woods and at the foot of a tree. And then we cut to Hoot and those poses, and that could work well. But these are the creative decisions we have as storytelling, and sometimes is important of what we don't show and what we do show. So here's the possibility a creative decision is maybe we don't need that shot, especially if we need that time for the rest of the action. Seeing them walking to the woods and then in the woods, do we need it? Does the dialogue in this set us up that when we cut to here, we know where we are, and we're in the woods, we're at a tree, so we're assuming where Hoot is. So let's go back to here. So now we cut to a perspective shot from Hoot looking down at them. So this is kind of nice. This is a cool kind of shot. Peep, we were wondering if you knew what was happening with the sky. Hoot, and Hoot says, huh? And then we take a look here. Hoot, oh, that's called an eclipse. It's when the moon covers the sun. It's very dangerous to look at it unprotected. So again, just to help visually understand what it is we're looking at there. But I like the trees, the composition of there, really, really nice. Cut back, which this shot 14 is matching up to 11 really quite nicely. And Hoot, if you do wish to view it, I believe you saw an object that you may allow you to look up safely on one of my flights by the dumping area. And the rest of them all say, thanks, Hoot. Okay. Here we are. This is 5 of 6. And now they're scene 15. They're at the dump and they're looking around. Narrator, Peep, Chirp, and Quack travel to the dumping ground to look for the object Hoot mentioned. So this is a nice way of getting a transition. So obviously this is later and they're at the dump that was referred to here, but it's also nice to come back to the narrator and let the narrator fill in that gap between these scenes that they got to where Hoot is. Almost kind of what could have happened here. We do have the narrator speaking here, which helps, but yeah, I'm not even sure if you need all of that from here to here might have worked from that dialogue. But anyways, a nice use of the narrator here to hook up from the last scene to this one. Now we do have a bit of a jump here of because here we had Peep, and this is where it gets confusing, is that we have Peep in the dump, and all of a sudden here's Peep behind glasses. That's a bit of a jump of how that happened. I could see, now let's see, Peep, what is it? I'm not sure, but everything's darker through them. It looks like it's starting. So maybe what would be nicer is if in this shot we could hear in the background chirp or whatever saying, I think we found it, and then have Peep run out of the scene. Then if you're going to set up this scene, then we're going to have Peep come in to the shot. So have Peep run out and then in, and then they can come into their dialogue. So it just flows a little better by having characters enter and exiting from one scene to the next. So hopefully that clarifies things a little bit. Okay, so here we have a second pose, which is great. So this is not a cut. This fade, it seems like the scene transitions being written here are what happened from the scene before to this one. And that's not what it works. This scene transition is what happens from this one to this one. So we're going to do a cut here. So if you were going to do a fade, if we're doing those, this wouldn't be the cut. This would be the fade. Because you fade from this to that later point in the story where we see them at the new background of the dumping ground. So the scene transition is before the scene, what happens between these two scenes, not having it here and referring back to this one. So, okay, so that hopefully helps and clarifies when we get to that. Okay, so we've got two good poses. They're all looking up, and then we see the end, or we still have another page, so we still got more action. So this is one of two poses, scene 17. So now all here is the eclipse, so we can see that faded over. And then Peep and Chirp all going, wow, amazing. We got good action notes. Moon covers the sun, sky goes dark. And then Quack, hey, let's look. Peep, hey, so yeah, so Quack's now getting a peek through the lens because he couldn't see it from here. So that's nice posing action, things happening there, which is cool. Quack leans over, pushing Peep. Chirp looks over, and then here. And again, we could bring that same idea so that that's visually clear what's going on. Quack, wow, wait, it's over already? That didn't last long. That was so cool. Want to head back to the pond and nap again? And they both say sure. So again, we can see. All right, okay. And then we have our finish here. So that's 1 of 1. And yeah, we can have end. So we're finished. So it's 6 of 6. Okay, so yeah, nice clean board. Works quite well. Just a few little things to work out and to indicate what's happening, but quite well done. Excellent. Jump into our next one. Oh, that same one. Print it out twice. Here we go. So, one, again, don't know how many pages. We'll have to go to the end here, see what we've got. So it's 1 of 7. None of the pages have a name on it, so I have no idea who this is. So always good to have your name on your work, particularly if this was a storyboard that you did for a production. You sent it to the studio, and now it's being distributed and everything, and nobody knows who did the work. More importantly, if nobody knows who did the work, how are they going to know who to pay? So making sure you're taking credit, and 2, making sure they know who did it so that you get compensated for doing the work. So same here. You want to make sure you get the marks, make sure that your name's on the work, and to practical in case things get out of order and such. I know whose storyboard it is. Production title just says Peep Storyboard. Yeah, it'd be nice. Again, so far we saw some very creative names that really help describe what the story's about and worked very well. Scene one of one. So there's that mid shot narrator. Another beautiful morning. So we're establishing where we are. Peep sleeping. Mid shot. It'd be nice if we could say we're inside the can here, inside Peep's home. But we can figure that out. But still, it is always label the redundant, or just let's repeat and make sure there's absolutely no question. So scene two still, shot panel 2 of 2. That's great. Eyes closed, eyes are open, all nice traced back well, so that all sizing and placement and everything is pretty consistent, so we can tell visually that's the same shot, which was great. We have a sound effect in here in the dialogue, knock knock, which is great. Pete wakes up due to the noise. Over the shoulder shot, which is great. Here we got over the shoulder of Pete looking out of the can, so that's nice perspective. We got the 3/4 back view, and then these characters framed at the entrance of the can. Quack, good morning. Peep look out the door and see Quack and Chirp. Works good. And we have a cut here because that's just a one pose. We have 2 of 7 here. Still nice to know whose storyboard it is. Storyboard. Scene 4, 1 of 1. So we have nice composition with the bush in the background and our can and everything here, mid shot. Peep, hey, what's up, guys? And Peep comes out and greet the 2 friends. So that's good. So you might want to have an arrow showing that he's come in. Now cutting to this one. We've cut in close, but nice. This is an over the shoulder shot. So we can see the 3/4 back of Peep here, and then closer of these 2 characters. So that cuts well. There's a good size difference, and changing the perspective that now the camera has moved to the left, kind of closer to the can, looking from behind Peep at these 2 characters. So that shot and cut works quite well, and indicating that it's a over the shoulder shot, that we've got 2 poses coming up here. So Chirp, we just found a big bag of something, and then a second pose, and Quack, there might be good inside. So I think it might be something good inside. So it's just reading things over, make sure it works. Now, the writing on this is, really the upper, lower, and cursive, but it is nice and clean and it is legible. But so this is working. But again, you can see when it's uppercase that it's very clear and easy to read. So being careful when you're using upper, lower, or doing cursive, make sure it's very, very legible. But again, my preference is all uppercase. Okay. So Quack talks, Chirp nods. Okay. A close-up shot of Peep. What are we waiting for then? Let's go take a look. Okay, so that's all cutting together quite well, and that we do have a couple poses there is nice. So we have a cut, so we know when we go to the next page where the camera is going to be moving, and sure enough, we have them walking along the pond, narrator, and so Quack, Peep, and Chirp head out on an adventure. So this is all good. We cut to a close-up of them in the shot here, and then we're cutting again to, I wonder what kind of good is inside. I hope it's a bag of corn. It says Quack. So this is all good. So good. The eye direction's looking back. So when we cut to the close-up of Quack, that we still have a orientation of where everybody is to each other. We cut to another page here, so 4 of 7, and we have the characters here mid-shot, or it could be no good inside. says chirp. And then we have another shot. Quack and Peep silently look at each other. So they're okay. So that's good. They got their eyes closed. Now they're having a peek at each other. And we cut again. So this is all scene 11, pose 1, pose 2. So that's all good. We have our cut. That's great. We have scene 12, and we're seeing the backs of the character, and we can see the bag that they're looking at. So composition-wise, it's pretty good. We're a little above the characters, but 3/4. They're all well into the shot. We can tell who's who from those 3/4 back shots, and they're nice and close to the camera, which is nice. Then we cut to 13, and we can see them now closer to the bag, and nice composition of these two together. And Chirp over here is on their own, and then the bag in between. Maybe a bit of dead space here. Maybe all that could have been a little higher in the shot, so we could see their feet in the ground and such. Would make that a little nicer, for example. So it's taking that exact same, here's our frame. It's just moving them up. So one, I mean, the reason for that is that we can see all of the bag. This is what we're looking at in this shot. And then, we could have the feet of the characters on the ground. So then, we could even leave the composition back here. So that, hopefully you can see that. That one. So the difference in that composition, this is just nicer. It fits into the frame better, and there's no accident. You can see where there's a lot of empty space here, and where's our focus? Whereas in this one, we know this is our focus. This is what we're looking at, is this bag, and then the all three characters are looking at that bag. And that, just them looking in that direction helps us give this that focus, that dominance in the scene. So if we go back to our elements and principles of design, this just, we follow those, and this gives us a stronger pose than this one. So it's a subtle thing, it's just a slight placement of characters and things, but it really makes a difference in how a scene reads and how well it works. Okay. So we've got a cut, so we're moving on to scene 14. So we have a close-up. So again, that would be, coming into this shot that you're cutting to this and having Chirp. I'll handle it. So ideally, this would be two poses. One, the first pose, and again, this is a close-up, so it'd be this framing. And if you're going to cut to a close-up, you should replicate the pose and the expression in this panel and replicate it here, and then show a second pose of how that changes while Chirp is saying, I'll handle it. Well, yeah, I guess I didn't do the dialogue, but how do we open it? Chirp says, you'll handle it. And that's what we have here. Sorry, here, I'm just going to put that 7 here. Yeah, still don't know whose it is. So nice pose here. So again, pose 1 of 2. And pulling on that and then flying across the frame. So the nice pose here of 3/4 bottom view of Chirp flying out and the string coming out. So that's a nice animation pose that works out well. Again, if the framing, that all still could have worked well if the framing was higher and not down. It's getting a little higher in each shot. Again, if it's the same pose, the background should be consistent. So tracing back is always good. But going back to the same setup as this shot for the rest of the sequence works. Going back to shots from a production point of view, having established this shot and this environment, this background, this setting, and then repeating that from 13 to 15, that helps in production. That means you just have two, you've got one background that if you do that up and paint it, you get to reuse it. So it becomes very efficient. So you don't want to do a new background for every shot. It becomes a big production, or you've got a lot more work needing to be done. Okay, so anyway, so that works out well. So that's the second pose. We do have a cut, and then we go to shot 16, one pose. Close-up shot. It's a bag of fruits. So it looks like they're, not sure if they're apples, peaches, or what it is, but that would be nice in the action notes actually to say, looking inside the bag, we see apples or whatever it is. Okay. So we do have a cut here, needs to be indicated. On this one, 6 of 7, we're getting there. Over the shoulder shot of these two guys, and we see Chirp looking in. And Peep, what kind of fruit is that? Let me taste it and find out. So in this shot, again, that's a close up here. So we would see that fruit in this shot, just so it matches up here, rather than having it empty that the bag disappeared. So in some cases, you kind of cheat it to do, to get something out of the shot. But in this case, probably good to keep it in the shot. It could work well. And even though we cut in close, we could have cut in so the character is over here and still have those apples and such there. We cut back out. So I don't know, we're a different perspective again. Again, everything's cut down. Like we've got all this space that isn't working. Again, if we went back to this one, this framing for here, but have this pose and all, it would be more centered and more focused on what's going on than just way down in the corner of it here. But anyway, so it's the posing and everything is good. Everything is nice. It's just if it could have been that, all that could have been up into the frame for a better composition. Then Chirp, oh, it's rotten already. So here we go. Good expression of him spitting it all out, and these two laughing it up at his expense. And we have 13, 2 of 2. We have a cut, and then we have the end. So there we are. Or that's, sorry, 7 of 7. Okay, so it's good little story. Pretty easy to follow through. Drawings were nice. Characters are on model quite well. Just a little bit being careful with the composition and the framing of the action. And make sure you have your name on it so you get credit for it. Okay. Let's see, how are we doing time-wise? We've got another hour, so I should be able to get through quite a few. I'm just going to have a drink here. Storyboard. So this is great. We know it's 1 of 5. There's 5 pages. We know who did it. Quack's story. So it's a good title. It works. Scene 1, 1 of 1. We have a cut. We have a spring day. We see our pond and our setup here. Narrator. On a spring morning, Quack and Chirp are heading out. So again, it's getting a little light. So it's making sure you're drawing dark enough and then your scan is dark enough. Again, when I was showing in that video that I had posted on scanning the 2 sides to make 11 by 17, what I did show is where you can adjust the brightness and darkness of the line and getting the light up. So go to that and darken things up. If you've done the scan, if you can go in and tweak it so that it is dark to make sure it shows up, particularly when I'm going to be printing stuff up and going over, that the line's as dark as it can be to make sure we can see that work that is happening. So we have scene 2, 1 of 3. Okay, so we have narrator. Quack and Chirp are approaching for a new day adventure. Yeah, a little hard to read. Again, uppercase, that would be easier to read. It's getting very small and starting to fade here, so the action note I'm having a little difficult with. So we have 2 characters. It'd be good if we knew where they're walking. Issue that I have here is that we've changed location, it seems. I'm assuming we changed location, not 100% sure. Because here we have the hills, we have the tree, and we have the pond with the log. Now, the top of this is exactly what we had here, but the pond's gone. So I'm not sure if our perspective changed or if we're in a different location. So maybe changing this up a bit, you know, having it over here, some things that we've changed the camera, we've moved over to the right of this scene and seeing them. It's just when I see the same thing, but everything else changed, it creates, you know, a jump and kind of confusing on that. So just things to be careful with. So we have scene 2, where we've got 2 of 3, and we can see them. So it looks like it's indicating a pan because we can see something here now, which we didn't see now. I'm not sure how that appeared or made that work. So this one's a little bit of confusion on this as to, you know, how far they moved or have they, and what we see here. You know, even if it's almost like we should see that in this scene, and then we see it a little bit more, and then them coming to a stop. I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure out how I would handle that if I got this on the storyboard, and how would I actually produce that in a final result. So a little bit of confusion there. And then we have a big close-up, and then the relationship of the two characters next to it is quite different. So unless this is really, camera is moved right to the right and we're looking at it from a different perspective, hard to say. Kind of confusing on that one. But what's not working on this one is it's scene 2, 3 of 3. Well, it's not. That camera's moved completely from this one. So this would be 2 of 2. This would be 1 of 2, and this is a new scene. This would be 3, and I'm assuming this is one of that close-up. So that would have been a cut, and this one, again, see, once you've gone to a mid-shot to a close-up, that's a scene change. So the numbering has to support that and make that clear. Dialogue, did you see that, Quack? Again, I'm having a hard time reading. Oh, big egg. I'm assuming that's what it says. Quack and Chirp came closer to look at egg. Now, if we go to our next shot. So now we've cut back to from that close-up, which is a different shot, but now then we cut back to where they were before. And that matches up quite well. So kind of trace back. So everything's where it should have been. That's all good. So we have, again, I'm just going to ignore the scene numbers because it's all out of whack now, because that one was a close-up, which changed it, which would have made this a sequence of scene 4. But there are 5 poses. So let's see if that holds true. So we have them looking at each other. Then we have Quack going and sitting on the eggs. So let's say, I'm going to hatch it. Are you sure? And then he goes, yep. So yeah, decent pose and it working. So a little bit of an issue here. If this is all the same shot, so this is indicating 2 of 5, and now here's 3 of 5. Something's changed quite a bit here. And now Quack is suddenly off the egg's hatched, and now Chirp has moved over on this side. So there's a lot missing between here and here, as well as everything shifted to the left. So if it's all the same shot, it all has to be consistent. It should all trace back into the same positions. So I think we need some more posing to show how we got to here and how he got over to here, where the Chirp got over to here, and how, you know, the egg hash and he popped off. So there's not enough information to get from here to here to make that clear. And then we have a close-up. Okay, so we've got Peep, and Peep saying Peep, Quack, and Quack says a Peep, and Chirp says a chick. Close up. So there's no longer poses here. This is not scene 3 anymore, or actually they were 4 anyways. You know, this would be 5, and we'll have to see what happens next of what's happening here. But this would be one of something or one of one. Don't know, because once we've gone closer, you know, the camera's changed, so it's a new scene. That's the way it's got to work. If I go to the next page, perspectives all changed again. So the eggs disappeared, the eggshells disappeared, the characters are all back in the background and everything. So that's changed again. So this is one of one. That's a cut. This is a new scene. This would be scene 6. And you know, that changes from here to here. So this would be one of one and a cut. So it's all kind of now getting convoluted. I'd have a hard time producing this and making sure we don't have jump cuts and such. Hang on, I've got one person to let in here. There we go. So you can see from here to here, we have a cut. But again, you know, the relationship of the characters have shifted because, and again, this is partially a drawing issue and other is a setup issue. The problem is that, you know, we have Peep close to the camera and these two in the distance. Now we cut, and the size of Quack and Chirp haven't changed, but Peep has. He's gotten very, she's got very tiny. So what happened here? So because the background looks virtually the same, but suddenly Peep shrunk or changed or got farther away from the camera, and that's a big jump. So there's something not working there, and have to figure out how do you get from here to here. Is going to be a bit of an issue that have to be worked out. But regardless of that, if we've got scene 4, which is, yeah, we're really up to 7 here because of close-ups not being counted as new scenes. We have 3 poses, so we have the 3 here. We have Quack moving across, so that's fine, that works. Dialogue, let me see, just so we can see what the story is happening. Peep, she's beautiful, a yellow Peep, hi. I'm going to find another egg. Chirp's going, oh no. Quack, let's go. Yeah, I cannot believe, says Chirp. So, so I'm taking it here. I'm not sure posing wise from here to here what's happened. I guess there should be following. Are they following here? Okay, yeah, it says they're all walking. So it's really having Quack closer and moving out, and then having these two following, and that they all go out of the scene. Okay, so I've cut the end of that here. So we've got this page and one more that we have. Again, we've cut to a shot that I'm not really sure where we are. It looks like a 3/4 back shot, I think, or it's a side view. It's trying to figure out how it worked with this shot. You know, we got that nice left-right orientation that they exited right, and now I'm really not sure where we are, which direction they're going. I guess they're going left. Yeah, so I don't know. We need an arrow now that they've changed direction. Do you see an egg? Nope. A Peep, stop. Boy, very mature for just being born. Anyway, so that's a different scene. That's a different scene. Here's a different scene, but looks like a bunch of posing where Peep has spotted a large egg. And now here's pose 2, but a lot of shifting has happened here, and even the size of the egg has changed. So kind of confusing of, you know, how these guys came into the shot and what's all happening here. So might have to take a look at the setup of the shot, how you get everybody in and how all that posing is going to work. Quacks come, Peep. Quacks come back here. Chirp, it's really big and white. So this is continuing on. So this seems to work from this shot. I don't know about this one. It's almost looks like a different scene, sizing and everything. But here seems to be pretty consistent. Here, at least, we're seeing that Quack is jumping up on the egg. Are you going to hatch? Yep. Ouch, it's hard like a rock. Okay. Jumping up, so good expression, good pose. And so it says 7/4 of 6, but now we've cut to a close-up. So this is no longer, this should have been 4 of 4. This is now going to be another scene. And 1 of 1, it looks like. And we see a close-up, a chirp. That's because it's because this egg is a rock. Okay, so it's not an egg. So I'm not sure what this, if that's the leg of this character. It looks way out of proportion and such. And even the size of the characters compared to the egg in the other shots is inconsistent. It shrunk a fair bit in this shot. Then when we cut to this one, this is another close-up. We've cut up higher so that we're seeing here up. And the narrator, Quack and Chirp, are squinting. So I guess they're just looking at the egg. So we have 5 of 5, so that's the end. So we'll have end here. So kind of punchline here that it wasn't an egg, that it was a rock. Okay, so we kind of have a couple of ideas happening here. Of one, that they find an egg and they hatch Peep, and then go off in search of another egg and discovering it wasn't an egg at all, it was in a rock. So again, 2 ideas there. One idea is best, and posing it out properly and working it out is best. But you know, the gag works and such. Just a lot of scene numbering and things, not compensating for close-ups and things, which are new scenes, and just some setup on some of the shots and working things out. But when there is posing, the posing is working quite well. And the characters are nicely in model. It's just sizing of things from shot to shot. Like that egg seems to grow and shrink, and the relationship of characters to each other or eggs are shifting and such about as well. So a few things to take a look on that one. But nice and clean and legible and on model. So good things working there. We've got a good stack here to go through. Let me see timing wise. Yeah, I've got 45 minutes or so to get through at least a couple more. See what we can get through. Again, a lot of things, you know, they're unique to each storyboard, but a lot of things are repetition of what to look out for. But here we've got 1 of 6. That's good. We've got the name, Nighttime Nonsense. Great title. We have scene 1 of 1. So fun setup. Nice drawing of the can and the 2 characters leaning back, stretched over the can. And the far shot, Quack and Peep laying on Peep's can, looking up at the stars. Cool. And then cutting closer. So again, just coming right in here and replicating, which looks great. That is a nice cut, and the details and everything working from one shot to the next. And Peep talking, how many stars are up in the sky. Cutting to a close-up of just Quack. So this is 1 of 1 panel. So we do have all our cuts here, which is great. And then this is cutting in close here on this shot. And then close up Quack saying 1, 2. So he's starting to count. And then we cut back to our scene 2, which is now scene 4. There's going to be 3 poses. And we say Quack, Quack saying, you know what? Quack lifts up his head and looks. So it's a good pose. That's working well. And we're going to continue on the next page. No cut, which is good. And he sits right up. Everything else is matching up relatively well. It looks like we could have traced back a little tighter to be continuous here. Things have shifted a little bit, but not bad. Look at the size of this to here. It's all shrunk. But that's like taking this, tracing back, turning on the light, tracing that back to make sure that it does match the rest of the scene. Quack, stars are not as great as ducks are. Sits up on this one. It looks like he jumps down. Yeah, Quack jumps off of Peep's can. So that works. These match up relatively well. 3 of 3. So now we're cutting. We're into a new scene. And we see scene 5, 1 of 2. And we've got Quack upside down. So we're like a 3/4 from the opposite side here. Working and seeing mid-shot Quack, you should be counting how many ducks are here and him turning around. So that's working. One issue I might have, and that is that we have our orientation, that we have Quack on the left, Peep on the right. When we come down, it's swapped. So it's almost, I'm not sure how well this would work if we flipped it to keep them on the same orientation or not, or how that would work. But it's not that bad. I mean, sometimes when you flip the characters, it's really disorienting. This one is such a different angle, and really being able to see the characters and such, it kind of works. But ultimately, it'd be exploring to see the orientation. But what does work, and I see why this works now. Yeah, if I go to the next page, so we got the 2 of 2. When we cut back here, it is left right. So from this shot, kept that orientation working. You switched it from here to here, but it seems to work. So I got 3 poses, and we're working that up. Okay, Peep, 1 duck. Then Quack, 1 duck, because ducks are number 1. And we're seeing some posing and expression happening here, which is all great. And now we have Chirp come into the shot in this same shot. So it's getting all pretty tight, but it works. Chirp, hey, what are you two doing awake so late? And now same setup basically, but pulling back. So that's a nice cut from here to here. And we're going to continue. Mid-shot, Peep, we aren't sleepy yet. What are you doing wide awake? Chirp. So it's good composition, all coming together quite well. Everything's legible, all uppercase, working quite well. We have just a pose change and dialogue continuing. I'm not sleepy yet. So again, we can tell who's talking and what's happening there. We cut to a close-up. So numbering's all working, cuts are working. This is a 1 pose. And this shot here is a good combination, or a good crop in cut from this previous shot. So it hooks up quite well and is working. We have a cut, so we've cut back to a similar scene, but just a new pose, which is nice. Mid-shot Quack, waddling a whole lot makes me sleepy, Quack. Chirp, let's race to Peep's favorite tree. And yeah, so we've continued. So good action, posing going on. And we're cutting as we finish. And we jump to 10. So I'm not sure how this relates. So I take it we haven't moved other than this camera has switched over almost from Peep's perspective, looking over his shoulder at the tree, that the tree's not that far away. And the establishing shot helps answer that. So this is great. So we have 2 poses and that works. And so this composition's nice. We see the tree and then we see Quack zoom in posing towards the tree and running for it, because I'm sure that'll get us sleepy. I'll win, says Quack. Nice establishing shot and relationship and sizes, everything working very nice. Far shot, Quack, Chirp, and Peep head towards the tree. Quack, Chirp, Peep head towards the tree. So we've got a cut. Oh, a cross dissolve. I'm not sure if a cross dissolve is needed here. Cross dissolve is more, yeah, well, I'm not sure. Maybe it does need it. Kind of an awkward shot. The tree is a bit bigger here. and I'm assuming a different perspective. Hard to tell with a tree that perspective changed. But yeah, they're running in this direction, and I see cross dissolve into a new scene. So yeah, that all works. Although, we haven't really been playing with those much, but fine. This one here, you don't need a cross dissolve. This definitely is a cut from here to here. To get from this scene is a more difficult cut. So maybe a cross dissolve would help as they got closer to the tree here. Let's see what happens next. Last page. So we're going from here to here, which is also just a one panel cut of Quack at the tree saying, I won. It's almost, you don't need this shot. If you take that out and go from here and cut to here and have them enter the scene, just cut to the tree and then them entering into the shot, would work. This one is an awkward cut and doesn't give us any more information. We saw them heading forward to the tree, and here we can see the tree and them heading into it with Quack getting it first and winning. So this could, almost be better in this shot of just the tree, or just Quack entering and there's the tree, and then another pose of this one of him and the other two having entered. So this duplicated here with just Quack entering this shot, I think would be a much nicer cut and working out well. Okay. So this would be two poses, and just making it scene 12, second pose of this shot and eliminate the other one, I think would be nice and solid. Now this one, mid shot, let's see, I'm still not sleepy. Are any of you sleepy? Good second pose. I'm not sleepy either. Maybe climbing will make us sleepy. I'll climb first. And there's the end of the story. So that is the end. So it just continues. So anyways, good story, good and solid. Just a couple suggestions there on setup and such, but good. So I see Madison, who did this one, sent a message saying, hi, so this is your story. I think I got confused on the camera refs sometimes. Are they all okay? No, camera refs I haven't had any issue with. Yeah, the mid shots and such. Definitely a wide shot. Mid shot might be kind of close up, but this definitely a mid shot. So they all seem to be working quite well. No problem. So, yep. Yeah, I have no issues with any of those. Just the comments that were made over things. So not much. It's just the one scene that I would change quite a bit. But other than that, it flows and nice and clean, easy to follow. So worked well. On to the next one. Yeah, so I got one page one, but I don't know out of how many. So I'm gonna go through and find. I'm reading the last page, and I don't know if that's a 5 or an 8. I'm assuming it's 5. It doesn't feel like 8 pages, so I'm gonna put one of 5 names here. Would have been nice if there was the production name here, kind of set us up, and the production name with the name of the episode. So if you had a title credit or whatever at the beginning, I think that would work. Okay, so let me see. I'm reading chat here from Madison again. Yes, all those comments, yes. And if you didn't take note and everything, I'm recording this session. It'll take till tonight, if not tomorrow, for it to be up in week 7 in Storyboard, so you can review this or find yours in here if you need it, the specific details. Yeah, someone here is saying I didn't know what to call the story. That's okay, but be thinking of one, and usually kind of what the theme is or something that you can come up with that's related to the story. And again, they're fun when they're clever, but sometimes they can be just descriptive, or just describing, or in a word or two of just what the story is about. So on this one, scene 1 on a hill, 1 of 1, that's all good. We have our establishing shot. We've got that far establishing shot narrator. It was a lovely sunny spring day, uppercase, nice. Narrator and the 3 friends were walking together, which we see, so good cut. See, we got 4 poses here. Second pose, so it looks like there was a pan or something. And yeah, I know it's difficult not using pans, because I know it's a pan because well, the background changes and I can start to see a bit of an object here, of which then now becomes center staging in the shot. So that one's a bit difficult. That would be, you know, the background panning across as the characters walk. A little difficult to try and work that out when not doing camera moves or background pans and things. But anyways, working not too bad. Same issue here as I was talking about a couple storyboards ago of setting things up. So for example, on this one, this was all cut off down here. Same happening here. So it's taking that same information and just working on the composition to get it stronger and that we can see what we're supposed to be looking at. Because right now, see, and a good indication of that is if you got a lot of empty space here, so well, it's kind of wasted space, because this is what all the characters are looking at this, and we cut it off. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to shift things up so that we can see it. So now we have our characters here. And we got Quack here. And we got Chirp here. You can see their feet. That it's just, now we've got our focus and we can see what it is we're supposed to be looking at. We're not cutting things off in any way. The other thing that could do on this, and I mean, it's not a big thing right now, but when we're talking about elements, principles of design, is spacing and such. And sometimes it's nice to kind of group things. This one worked well, other than the framing, was that they grouped, that had one character overlapping another, and they made an interesting silhouette, and then another character here, and balancing this. This to kind of evenly spaced out, you know, could be more interesting again if you had these two a little closely. They don't have to be overlapping, but kind of vary the spacing sometimes is more visually interesting and makes a nicer composition. Okay. All right. So just framing on this one. So then they found something odd. What? So that's the narrator. That's good. And then we see Peep saying what? And we go on. So this is scene pose 2, 3, and then 4. And then we got a cut coming up, which is fine. And we can see that Peep has been looking at one character and the other, and then you got the eye direction for both characters working well there. And Peep saying, what is it? And then Quack going, he's trying to figure it out. So again, we've cut in close here, and all that is working well in that. And then we cut to Peep humming and hawing. And then again, we've got 2 poses, so that's working well. And good pose change here. Narrator, the 3 shared their ideas about the object. So we're not hearing them saying what they think it is. So the narration, narrator has come in to fill in that. And that's a good idea to kind of have a passage of time and such working there. And then we cut to scene 5. So we really have a scene change here. So we have gone from their walk back to Peep's house. So there's obviously been a jump in time. So, you know, this can work that, well, a bit, because we have Chirp here, but then Chirp has changed size and now in a new location. It could be kind of considered a jump cut. So this is where we would do a cross dissolve or a fade from one shot to the other, showing that passage of time, and it just alleviates that jump in the shot. So where we had some people in the other storyboards and things showing a dissolve wasn't or a fade or what have you, it wasn't really necessary, but here is a good place to do it, that we move forward, we move to a new location, and it's later in the day or the next day, what have you. So now we have the setup of, we are at Peep's house as Cam, and we got a couple of poses here of the narrator the next day. This is always great. You know, you can get away with a cut, and especially if you got the narrator saying it's the next day. That's a good segue into coming from here to here. So even if we did a cut, it would still work that when we cut here, and now the narrator is saying, this is the next day. So it's clear where we are and what's happening. And Chirp is saying, Peep's not here. And they both look over, and Peep's saying, hey, look. So that voice is off screen. Then we cut. And again, it's good. They're all looking to the right. And here is Peep looking back to the left, which all makes sense, works. And Peep saying, ta-da, Peep, I have a hat. And then Quack saying, like me. Makes sense. Okay, yep, all looks good. Now we have another cut. Let's see, we're going from scene 7 to scene 8. Close up, Chirp looks up, and we have another cut with a couple of poses, and we have Chirp and Quack. What's wrong, Chirp? So it's good. Their beaks are open. They're looking somewhat concerned. He's looking down and mopey, and he's going, I'm the only one without a hat now. And these cuts are working well. So we got the two poses that work. We've got this combination of Quack and Peep in a close-up looking at each other. So that works well. Now we're cutting from 10 to scene 11, which is basically going back to scene 9. It's that scene 9 setup. And ultimately, it would be the scene 11 being one pose. It'd almost be better if it was two. If we had this shot, basically, and then the two of them turning and running out of the frame, rather than them just already turned and running. So I know there's a bit of a shortcut, but ultimately, you know, having scene 11 start with a similar shot to this, and then the second pose, them running out of frame. And again, you got the arrows and the out, so that's perfect. That works. Do cut, and we are at the tree. So we got one or two poses, which is nice. Pete picks a blossom off the tree, jumps up, and then over the shoulder shot that we can see of Chirp, and Pete puts the blossom. So the only issue I'm having here is that this is the same shot, but everything's shifted. If it's the same shot, the camera's got to be steady. It's got to be locked down. So you got to find a compromise here that works. Because and then the framing of this works nicer. And that's because, see, that you have Chirp nice in the shot. So you got that nice 3/4 of Chirp. So if you did the same up here, that would be perfect. So if you had Chirp here and looking up when he was picking that blossom of the tree, and he's got the hair up here. So what I'm getting at is if you use the same setup and used it here, and here you could have Quack in this shot, looking up. And then you could have, you know, kind of frame this so that you have the tree coming up like this, and then you can have Pete jump up and grabbing that. And then that would all work here for the most part of trying to get, yeah, it's going to be a little difficult. But the posing all has to work so that it sets up here. So when comes over and puts that blossom on Chirp's head, that it all works in the same composition. On this one, when they come over to do that, then you could have Quack move as Chirp comes up. So it would be shifting him here and having Peep here and putting that on his head. Okay, so it's just making sure that if you have pose 1, pose 2, that the background's got to be the same and you're setting up the characters better. But this is a better setup because we can see Chirp properly. This little cutoff, the top third of his head here, of Chirp's head, isn't good. You can't see who that is or recognize what's happening. So in this case, we've got Chirp right in the shot, recognizable in the shot deliberately, and works well. So keeping that from the first pose to the second pose would work that much stronger. Okay. And then we cut here. I'm not sure if this has to be a cut. This could be scene 12, and it's a matter of these characters of Peep coming down and then Chirp just turning and rotating. Because this is a bit of a jump. The tree disappeared. These two characters are virtually the same, except slight size difference, and now that's popped over here. So you could probably set up these 3 shots so that it could stage and set up properly all in one go. It would work nice. Okay, so this is 5 of 5. So this is the last scene. Now we all have hats, which is a nice little story, a nice little solution of how Chirp could get a hat as well, and flows together and works quite well. Okay, and then this is the end, and wrap that one up. Good. So on to the next one. How's our time? Check that again. Yeah, so we got a half hour left. Hopefully I can get through 2 more, but there's still lots to go. Again, I am recording this. I will process it and get it up into week 7 so that you can go back and review them. The ones I haven't done, I will record them myself and post them up in the next few days so that all the storyboards that were submitted and that I could print out. I did have some issues on a couple, at least, that I couldn't print for one reason or another because of the file. But anybody that hasn't seen theirs, I haven't had a chance to go over here during the Zoom meeting, that I will have them and have them posted on video, and you can go through and hopefully yours will be there. Okay, so that's the best I can do in the setup and working the way we are here. Okay, but hopefully you're seeing what works, doesn't work, even if we don't get you to yours, that you can hopefully take that information and look at yours from a fresh perspective and really see what my expectations are, and seeing what worked and possibly what didn't work on these, and to be able to apply that to this storyboard, but more importantly, future storyboards that we're learning and nailing these down even better. So here we go, another storyboard, 1 of 5. So we got 5 pages. We have the name. We have the production title, Quack lost his hat. We have our establishing shot. We hear a crying sound. We have crying sound. And then over here, we have Quack, my hat, where's my hat? Even when it's a crying sound, you should have Quack and underline that it is Quack making that crying sound. Just so, because if I was doing the production and was going to do the sound recording, I don't want to make a mistake and use another character's crying or whatever. Although it becomes clear here that the noise is Quack, it's just, having that information there for sure. And then here saying Quack is crying, that's good. So this is scene 2, 1 of 3. Okay, so we got that set up, and here is pose 2. So trace back is quite good, although our bush that you have here is missing. So it's keeping that consistent that that's in the shot, and it's here as well. But everything else traced back really nicely, and the quack posing and shape and everything is working quite well. And then we have the enter of Peep and Chirp, which we have Peep saying, "What happened, Quack?" So this is where it's good that you got the beak open, so we can tell this is the character that's talking. It is Peep, and this is the dialogue from that. Got a good description here, and then we have here, Quack, my hat has disappeared. So again, all the way through, he's got his beak open. But maybe on this one, posing wise, to indicate that it's Quack, that is dialogue, is that, maybe we can change the expression a bit. Maybe he does have his eyes open and is looking at Peep, as opposed to that. He could still be crying. Like the dots coming out. There's a few shows I've seen that have very funny rain dots flying through the air to exaggerate it. But here, changing the expression, opening the eyes, and help reinforcing that it is Quack saying, "My hat's disappeared." So this is 3 of 3. So we're going to page 2. Page 2, it'd be nice if it continued with 2 of 5, keeping your name and your production title throughout would be good. So here we've cut to scene 5, so we need to say cut. And we've got the numbers. It's 1 of 1, and we got a close-up of Peep. And you say, "Peep, don't worry, we'll help you find it." So yeah, so this is a close-up of Peep here. So maybe realistically we might see a bit of Chirp here, but it's okay if she's not there too. I mean, it will quite often cheat and get rid of a character just to simplify and focus on who is there. But it's possible that we could, it's either put the character in or put them out. So leaving out isn't a problem. I was just looking at showing an alternative, so it's not a big issue by any means. Pete, don't worry, help you find it. Then we have another scene, which is scene 6, and this looks like it's going to be 1 of 1, and it is Quack saying, "Really? Thank you, Peep and Chirp." Cut to another scene. We don't have the scene number. And Chirp close up, and this one's a Chirp, and said, "No problem, haha, let's go." Then we cut to another scene, no scene number. I don't know what these numbers are. It looks like these are scene numbers because that was 6. This is 7 and 8. That should be 7 here, 1 of 1. This should be 8, 1 of 1. I think it's 1 of 1. Yeah, it looks like it is. So there's going to be a cut here as well. Narrators. So they start to find the hat for Quack. So if we go here, we got scene 9. So we have lots of cuts here. There's 1 of 1. This is scene 9, right? This one would be 10. And it looks like another 1 of 1. So it's a bunch of quick shots of them looking here and there. So Peep, hat, are you here? No, okay. Chirp, no, Quack's hat isn't here. Looking up in the tree. On this one here, extreme close-up Quack. No, there are nothing here. Okay. So I'm not sure, is this the same location as here? Because I was wondering about the scale and the look of this tree. This is Chirp's house, but I don't think so. This one seems to be maybe Chirp's house, and then Quack saying, "No, there nothing here." So this, just location wise, maybe a very different looking tree, bush or something here. This one here, I'm not sure. Is this, yeah. there's no leaves on the trees or anything. So I'm just wondering, did we establish it's spring or sometime? It doesn't really say. Anyways, just, I don't know if these are puddles or snow or what's going on or what time of year. It started making me question because of the drawing, which is, you said snow. Okay. So we need to establish that somewhere here that it's winter. Maybe, in our action note saying middle of winter or something, and indicate, a little bit more in the drawing that there is snow on the ground or ice in the pond or what have you. There we go. So close up burr, bubbles rise under the water. So that's 3. And then we cut to page 5 and we see Peep. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm getting a little lost. I'm getting a little confused. Scene 10, so this would be 11. This would be 12. This makes it look like there's 2 poses here, but that doesn't seem to work. If anything, the thing looks like this would work well. This would be funny. The things just seem to be out of order. I'm a little lost. But with the bubbles and then Pete jumps up on a log, that's a fun gag. And saying, where's the hat? I'm not sure. I got to go back and find out what these scenes are about. But these 2 seem to hook up first. So it says first, so I don't know if that means, yeah, okay. Things are out of order on the page. So that means you should redo the pages or work it around. Even if you cut the page and paste them the other way around or something, or just redraw them or cut the frames out and paste them into the right ones. It's got to be clear. You can't just change order of things. Again, I was totally confused here, but yeah, it's just fixing that out. But this is a great gag. I like it. And what's funny is usually this is a whole log underneath, but when he pops up, it's just a half a log. So that's funny. It's a sight gag. It's kind of it looks like it's a prop log, half a one or whatever. But anyways, it's a good gag. I like it. So we go to this shot, it looks like, which is the 3 of them. I cannot find the hat. All 3 of them are. And now each one, we're cutting into each one here. So Peep, where else haven't we looked? And then Chirp, looking up, says, wait, have we looked in Quack's pool? Well, that's where they were here, wasn't it? Okay. I've gotten a little confused because we just looked at Quack's pond, and that's where they're thinking of going. And here they are, and it's just floating in the pond. I don't know where the log went. So I got a little issue with locations and what's happening. So I think we need, because this is a good gag, but there's no hat. So I don't think we can use the pond here. I think we got to find another wrap up to where the hat might be and have that big finale or gag at the end of where it was. Maybe in the end he turns around and it's on his behind. He's been sitting on it. It's all been flattened and it's been stuck on his back. Something like that could be an idea of what we can do at the end there. So it just needs that to be clarified a little bit. Okay. So really, so you just got to work on the last few pages for sure. And even the ones where the numbering is all over the place or not filled in would have to be sorted out. Okay, so hopefully you got the notes there. Hopefully, and if not, at some point in the next day or two, a video of this will be up on week 7 in this one. I think I just got time to do this last one here. There's just a few left, but I will. Again, I had a problem. I couldn't print out this one. I don't know what happened. I don't know whose it is. Let me see. Does it say file name here? Dennis Jason. Anyways, for whatever reason, I couldn't get it to print. So I can't do a video one of it. There was another file that wouldn't open at all. But anyway, let's get through this one and we'll wrap up because I'm exhausted going through all these. So I'll give this one a go. So 1 of 6. Don't know whose it is. No production title. But 1 of 1. It says, yeah, these are all page or scene 1, but I don't think the visuals don't indicate that. Nice drawing, the can and the setup here. Peep's can, night, winter. It was a cold night for Peep, but when he woke up, there was snow. This cutaway to the sky and sun, night and morning. So that's okay. This is confusing. I can kind of visualize what you're talking about, but it is very hard to communicate that, and it probably need more than one panel to describe. It's almost like, you know, you have a sun and then have a half moon, and it's gone from daylight, and it'd be a fade into a half moon night starry sky to show passage. But this one's already saying it's nighttime. So I would think it'd almost be better to go from this one to this one and just forget this stuff here and bring this narration down. So it was a cold night for Peep, but when he woke up, there was snow. That could just be these 2 shots going from one to the next. And then we go to our next shot, and that is Peep's can, and we see Peep steps outside of his can. And so this one should be cut because we changed now to scene 2, and there's going to be 4 poses. So I can see how this works out here. So this is the same shot, but we've pulled out a bit, or at least the cans got smaller. So it's just sizing these to be the same. These 3 of this scene 2 all look pretty consistent. There is some variation. So yeah, it's doing that trace back that I was showing with the light table to get it consistent. This one looks close. The can is much bigger in this one than these shots. So it's just fixing those ones up. But the posing and everything looks good. And the numbering, everything is good. Except here and here. And this is 6. So this is good posing. It's finally winter. Boy, he's looking forward to winter. Okay. He should be holding skis or something if he likes it that much. Okay. And then finally winter, he stands in front of the can, and then he sinks into the snow. So that's a great visual gag. That's fun animation storyboarding, which is great. I'm just going to take a look at the chat here. I see some stuff coming up. Okay, is this, yeah, so none of this has been graded yet. Yes, if you want to resubmit, I will mark and grade the last submission that's in there. And even if I've already marked it and you submit it next week with the changes and such, it will indicate that something new is in there. So I will be I can go back and rework the grade. So yes, please do whatever alterations you need and submit. And it doesn't matter if they grade it yet or not. I will be grading anything new that comes into the Dropbox. Okay, so that's good. So let's see, it rushes outside, play on the snow. So we could have an arrow and out. Then we cut further out and we can see, you know, that posing of his running around. He jumps and plays in the snow. So, you know, we could even have Peep here and kind of say that's A pose, there's a B pose. So it's kind of a cheat. You can get a couple of things in one panel to save some issues. So that is, so, and then we have him fall back and in this shot. So jumps in the snow and makes snow angels. Not much of an angel if you don't have wings or arms to make the wing part, but yeah, that's a good gag. It's fun. This one here, cutting out to then show that Quack's in on the game and playing with things. So yeah, it kind of works. it's, yeah, it's almost more, there's not a lot of size change. It's just a shift in the camera. And that works too. It's all good. So this is scene 4, and you got 5 poses. Wow, okay. Yeah, so we have that. And let's see. You're here too, of course. I love snow. What are you doing, Quack? And let's see what happens here. He's making a snowball, shoots a snowball at Peep. Peep, oof, that's not fair. I gets hit with a snowball. Now we cut. Yeah, so we need to cut here as well as 6 and this. But this is all working. It's a cut, so we're here. So quick cut. So we're just seeing Peep toss the snowball. So that's a cut. It'd almost be nice if we had 2 poses here. One that would be, you could actually do this closer, but anyways, I won't get into that right now. So he's got the snowball, he's antic, we call it antic up, and then boom, it then flies. So this is kind of posing that helps in timing and clarify what is wanted in the animation. So, and then even this whole thing, I would have framed much closer. I'd start with this pose and then end with that pose, this same framing as that snowball goes, isn't out of frame. Okay. And then even this one, yeah, move this forward, it's got 2 poses, but he's already hit and then him shaking it off. The same thing, there could have been another pose here of, and again, just framing of things. Yeah, I'd always have him here. Yeah. Snowball in. And again, I would frame this so that we're close into the action. So if we go from this one to this one, see the snowball coming and then splatter. You can see the impact. And then when we go to another pose here, then he can be shaking it off. So I like that wearing with the snow. He's shaking it off like a pet dog or something. Okay. So anyways, so that's just where we can embellish those poses a bit and really have some fun of the action to work out. So there, so we're cutting again. This is 6, 5, 6. Let's go see what Chirp's doing. So we cut and we sing. I take it they're coming in the shot. Peep and Quack go to see Chirp, stuck in snow. Okay. It might be nicer, if he's stuck in the snow, is to establish that. I mean, ultimately, this works, but if you started, had another scene, another shot of Chirp struggling and can't get out of the snow, and then cut out and have them come in and help him out here. Here's Chirp. Peep, Quack, can you please help me? I'm stuck. And then Quack saying, I got it. So we got some nice posing here of him bending down and helping out there. So even this, I'm just looking at all this, frame this in more. Try to be consistent with it, but frame it in more so that, when we see Chirp stuck, and then you can move the 2 of them more in the shot and then setting up here where they came in and then working that out. So again, there's just a lot of space with nothing going on and the action is all small. So it's focus. It's making sure we can see where the action is taking place. Okay. So 3 to 3, so we're going to be cutting here. So we can do a cut, and this one is 8, so we're in close. And I'm not sure if this is Peep getting pulled out of the snow, so we could see the snow here, maybe some snow or whatever falling off, and getting him pulled up would work here. And again, if we've gone from this shot, we could come in even closer. So it's taking, we've set up the shot here and then come in really close. And really for that to work, you would, if you're going to come in even closer, you would stick with this pose and then show him being pulled out of the snow, and that would work better. Okay, and then our final shot, again, that's 8, this is 9. So that's a cut, and we have one pose, and then chirp when free, quack, you're welcome. And they're all happy jumping up and down. So that's great finish. So we can just say end, or you can do the end here, whichever, and that would work. Okay. So yeah, a few things there. Good all uppercase and such, and the models getting size relationship, shapes weren't too bad and working, so that's coming along quite good. Let me see time. So yeah, we're at noon. I've just got a few more, which I will do later this week, and videotape and get it up onto Canvas for everybody here. Let me just switch back here. So hopefully that's been helpful and it's clarifying and things to look out for. If I haven't gotten to yours yet, and again, it'll be a couple of days before I can go through them and tape it and upload it and get it into the week 5 Canvas page that we review. This one here, I've been recording, and I'm going to, I guess it doesn't stop recording. It doesn't let me stop recording until I'm done here. But anyways, I will get this one processed and loaded and embedded, so you can go back and take a look at these. All right, so hopefully that's all good. Everybody's good. I will be seeing you tomorrow for design. That will be at 11 o'clock when I'll actually see you, but I will have a video, and the instruction for the next project will be in that video tomorrow, so that will be available and ready to go tonight and tomorrow morning for sure. And we can switch gears to the design. All right. So if everybody's good, any questions and such, now's the time before I wrap up. Or you can save them for tomorrow when we come on to Zoom. If you still have any questions or anything you want to clarify for storyboard, you can ask them there, or even between now and then, you can always email and such to work out. So again, it won't be till next week that I will have a grade for these, but I will be working on those this week over the weekend to get that done. And yeah, and we'll go from there. All right. So if everybody's good, I'm going to wrap up and get some lunch. So everybody have a good day, and we'll see you tomorrow at 11. Okay.